Welcome back to the Custom FX YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be going over a new mesh replacement switch panel, V2. That's version 2 for the very popular 2015 to 2020 F150 trucks with the power rear slider and also no interior motion sensors. Your upper console will look just like this. This mesh pops out. There's your retainer part that stays up inside your headliner area. Snapped in place here, and we'll show you how to even take that down. But the new V2 is slightly different from the original mesh replacement switch panel. These have been very popular and will remain very popular. But we've had a couple customers want to know if there's a little bit of a modification necessary to the lip of this console here. Actually, I have another one underneath here. This is it. And then you don't have to modify this on the new V2. What we have done is we have lowered this particular switches down roughly 3/16 of an inch. Also gave some extra clearance because some customers, the back of the switch housing or wiring harness would be hitting the top and kind of kicking it out a little bit. So you had to modify the little plastic retainer up in there, which is no big deal. It's not a deal breaker. But this is going to alleviate that problem. But not only did we lower the switches down, but we also took them outward. And by doing so, we had to do that because switch number 2 is very, very close, right in here, to the OEM power rear slider switch housing. Even though it looks centered, it is actually offset to the left, towards the passenger side. Here's a perfect example where this is centered, and you can even see how that is. But whenever you have to do that, so we have clearance to drop down from the top, and we moved it over so there's no clearance, there's going to be a little minor modification for the front retainer, and we're going to show you what needs to be done with that. It's a very easy modification to do, less steps to have to take. And the difference really between the V2, this new V2, versus the old original one is not only the switches slightly lower down and also slightly to the outside. The original version is still and will always remain very popular because this also allows you to put call-outs by our laser etching underneath the switches. So let's talk about the logos here too. A disclaimer, keep us in mind, everybody, including the bigwigs, all laser etched logos is a free service. It is free. There's no charge. It is a gift. There's no monetary acceptance for any of these logos. We sell plenty of switch panels without any logos. Some customers want that stealth look. That's up to them. We do not charge anything for a logo. Let's kind of compare the new V2 down at the bottom and up on top here. You can see that the logo is also a little bit larger. So what's nice about the new V2, it does give more space for some customers' logos here. Many customers also send us a business logo or some other crazy logo that they may want. We need just a little bit extra room for. This now gives more room for that custom logo. But as you can see underneath switch number 1 and switch number 4, unfortunately, there's no space to put any call-outs underneath the switches. You can still do it underneath 2 and 3 if you want. But if you want it uniform and you want to do the call-outs underneath the switches, definitely the original is the way to go. Otherwise, the new V2, we're going to go over the install steps on that and what modifications need to be done. Again, it's very minor. It's very easy. But yeah, this is now a new option for you. And this is now readily available right now. So at this point, we will show you here how this console will come down. and that will be the next set of steps we'll show you here. So here's an overview that you, of course, don't see. This is up inside your headliner. We're looking up, this is all we see. You kind of wonder, how does this thing get fastened into place? Down in my description below, I will put a link on one of my earlier videos. I was actually at a dealership getting an oil change, and I simply went there, and I didn't want to take the whole thing down, but I used a plastic pry tool, which is, again, going to be your best friend, and you're basically just going to pry this down. Sometimes you can use your fingertips. You don't want to break these, of course, and they're pretty stout. But still, this is going to be your best friend to pry your console out from the retaining piece here. But there's a total of 6 clips. The front are going vertical. The ones in the middle are horizontal. And the ones in the back are also horizontal. That's all that holds your console to this retaining piece. Here, let me grab this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see it, those little metal clips do nothing more. I just snap in place in a little slot in that retainer. This piece, I think, is 3M taped up on top of there. When I got this display one, this came off of eBay. This looks like this also had some glue as well there too. So they probably glue it up in there. So this retainer piece is actually up and should stay up inside your headliner. But what you're going to do is you're simply going to stick your tool, no pun intended, in between your headliner and your console, and you're just going to pry this down. Again, the link for the video down below shows you what I've done, but that's all you're going to do. You're just going to go ahead and stick your tool in there and give it a twist or a little bit of a tug, and it should come down with no issues. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off, and then we will show you the modifications necessary. So once you went ahead and loosened all your pieces, you're going to have some electrical connections still underneath there. You're going to undo some electrical connections there, and I think there's maybe going to be another one up in here as well there too. You're going to want to disconnect your OEM PowerWare slider as well there too. So once you do that, you're going to go ahead and take your console, set this off. We'll show you some quick modifications to that. And there's also going to be some modifications also to your retainer piece that is going to be up inside your headliner. And it's actually quite simple to do. And we'll show you those steps next. So now you have your console set down on a nice little soft work piece. You don't want to get it scratched up. Your mesh is simply held on by a couple little clips. You also have alignment tabs in each corner, which are actually going to be the bolt holes in each corner of your switch panel. Now I'm going to do this one-handed here. These little tabs you're going to press down and push out, down and press out, down and out, down and out. And your bottom you're going to pull up and out. There's 2 of them down there, 4 of them up at the top. And just like that, your piece is now done. That's off. Set this off to the side. Hold on to this, because even though there's going to be a couple quick modifications that you need to do to this, you could always take your panel back off and snap this back into place if you ever sell your truck. So hold on to that. What we are going to do is, and in the instructions we'll also show you this, but I call it the IHI. What you're going to want to do is you want to cut that flush. Like this lip here, you want to make that plane exactly the same all the way around. And do this to the top and the bottom. and I will show you what I use. My favorite tool, I use this for cutting off wire ties and making them flush so you don't have no jagged burrs to kind of catch you, whiskers more or less to say. You can use a razor blade, you can use whatever you choose, but I'm going to set that in there. There we go. Right there, I made my first little cut. And that came right off. And you're going to do the same to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, and 8. And you're going to go ahead and make your cuts straight across. Again, you can use a razor knife. This plastic may crack at that time, so make sure your cut is straight. Sorry guys, it's blurry and a little bit jagged. I'm doing this one-handed here. I'm doing this lefty. Okay, here's your H, just came out. The other eye went flying somewhere. Okay, and the last piece. Boy, this is hard to do this one-handed. Just awkward. There we go. That's it. That's simple. Okay, and you can clean this up a little bit, with a razor blade, but it's not going to be really necessary because at this point, your switch panel now can sit in place. And this right here, the reason why you're doing this is so you can allow your wiring. Because whenever you get your switch panel, if you remember, we do all the wiring for you. Relays are still recommended. You're on your own with that. We can help you with that if you also need relay harnesses. But this switch panel will be completely soldered up, wired up. All your switches are labeled of which switch is which. Power in and power out. Everything is labeled for you. But you're going to go ahead and now feed that into this. And then it comes with 2 bolts, flat washer, and a retaining nut for the back. And we'll show you how that looks now next. So now that you've fed all your wiring through here, you're going to go ahead and get this set into place. Get this up over the switch housing. And you can see we have the wiring, so it goes up around it. Also included is going to be a bag of hardware, 2 small black Allen head bolts, 2 flat washers, and 2 nylon lock nuts. And go ahead and securely fasten it into place at this point. The Allen wrench is a 3/32. Your regular wrench is an 11/32. You go ahead and push your bolts from the outside in. You can see that they're countersunk, so they sit in real nice and flush. On the back side, you are going to put the flat washer, then the locking nylon lock nut, and tighten up till it stops, just good and snug. You can also see with the new V2 that you do not have to modify that bottom lip because the retaining nuts of the switches are now below that area. And since we took the switches outward, we now have clearance between the OEM power rear slider and switch number 2. So we're almost done. We now have this part of it done, but the upper retainer is one more modification that needs to be done to this piece. The last step of modification is going to be to the retainer piece that is still up inside your headliner. You're going to need safety glasses for this, and there is another video that I already did comparing the original and the V2. So I've already cut these out, so I'll put that link in the description down below. But what you're going to do is you're going to get a Dremel. This is what I used with a little cutoff tool, little cutoff wheel. If you want to use a burr grinder, I would refrain from using this, but I would actually recommend using the cutoff wheel, safety glasses. And what you're going to do is you can take off roughly only 25% up to a half. So take that right in half or less. And what you're going to do is you're just going to cut those pieces off. Because what happens, since we have brought the switches outward, they are now interfering to the part that the switch panel itself, or the console with the switch panel, now the switches interfere right here. So you're just clearancing that. Now this version 2 now does not need the necessary of modifying these. They're close, but you should not have to modify these now. So the only thing that you are really doing to this is you are modifying out of that upper console, the IHI, and 2 little pieces here. And now that you've done that, it's real easy. I actually had that done in less than 1 minute, both sides. And then you can just clean up the little burrs, little pieces of plastic. Again, wear safety glasses. But at this point, this is actually now up inside your headliner as you're looking up at it. But I'm going to go ahead and snap this into place and show you how it all looks and the clearance you have. Okay, what I've done at this point is I've actually just snapped the back into place just so I can kind of show you. So the middle and the front is not done yet. You can see there. You run your wiring up over there. You're going to be running this down the passenger side, then down the A-pillar, then out to the engine compartment. But you can now see right there on switch number 4, you can see the housing and the heat shrink that's around it, how close it is to that. And also on switch number 1. So by doing this, will now allow you to, there we go. Everything's all snapped into place now. Front, middle, and rear. Front, middle, and rear. That works out good. And now, if you do have a problem with the bottom of the switches still kicking out, you may need to possibly sand, which you could probably use that on the bottom side of those grids if you have that problem. This one fits perfect. So the new V2, this is what needs to be done. As far as all the install steps of the switch panel into the console and up into the truck, run this down your A-pillar, a couple bolts, you take that off, run your power cable. Do not run it over your airbag. Go ahead and run it alongside of it, and then drop it down to your dash. Find there's a couple access holes that in grommets you can actually now take your power cable end with the flying leads and fish this out into the engine compartment where you're going to do all your connections to your relays out there in the engine compartment out near your battery. So this now concludes the install of the new V2. And again, the original is still extremely popular, will always be popular. But the new V2, again, allows a little bit less modifications, larger logos. And these work out great. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to email us directly at kustomfx.info@yahoo.com. That is kustom, letter F, letter X, .info@yahoo.com. We also have our website. It is an information-only website. There's no ordering from there. We go direct with one-on-one with each and every customer. So you can reach out to us, again, through email if you have questions, and we'll do our ordering one-on-one with you, the customer, with each and every switch panel. So there's no communication issues whatsoever. And the website is www.kustomfx.net. That's www.kustom, letter F, letter X.net. And we really appreciate your business, and glad that we have been around for 10 plus years and going strong. So this is the video on the new V2 mesh replacement switch panel for the 2015 to 2020 F150 trucks. By the way, some of your Super Duties, a couple years after that, still use the same console. These also work on the Super Duties that have the same type of console. So keep that in mind there too. Your Super Duty guys, F250s and F350s, that got that same console. We also make these with and without the interior motion sensors that's down there in the corners. So we can definitely help you guys out with that too. Again, any questions, feel free to contact us. Again, thanks, and we'll talk to you on the next one.